Folks, once again, it's your boy Tim with another ride sharing video. This one should be an eye-opener, particularly for those who just started ride sharing maybe as soon as a year ago or anything newer than that. But I want to see if my veteran drivers can catch this, because as you see, the whole video is titled "Do Strikes Work?" Now, we know there was a lackluster low cooperation strike on Thanksgiving weekend to protest the same bullshit. Low wages, they don't give a shit about our safety, etc., etc. Well, there is another strike supposedly taking place tomorrow in New York City. This one is to protest the fact that Uber has fought against a wage increase for taxis and just simply rideshare drivers overall. How dare a company like Uber fight against wages? Does that sound familiar? Well, I want you to watch this video. It's a couple minutes long. I want to see if you can catch different points in this. Now, remember, if you're a veteran driver, I expect you to see what's going on with this shit. If you're a new driver, a lot of this is going to be unfamiliar, but I expect it to be eye-opening for you. We'll talk about it on the other side.
Drivers went on strike today in protest against the company's recent fare cuts. They say Uber keeps cutting how much drivers make on each ride while increasing how much the company gets. CBS 2's Diane Macedo was at the rally outside Uber headquarters in Long Island City.
Money and the freedom to be their own boss. But after the company lowered prices 15% on Friday, drivers say Uber is taking them for a ride, cutting what drivers take in while increasing its own commission percentages.
I will just ask American public, if their salary is decreased by 45% in 2 years, how will they feel?
One big point of attention, Uber requires drivers to have cars that are at most 5 years old. So many financed new ones at rates that seemed sensible when they were making more money.
I see guys who have paid car who cost $20,000, pay $60,000. They just sucked into this for the next 5 years.
Still, Uber says the new fares benefit drivers, telling them in an email last night, quote, partners spent 39% less time waiting for a trip while online this weekend when compared to 2 weekends ago. Our goal was to turn your unpaid time online into paid time, and we have already seen a 20% increase in hourly earnings for partners.
But drivers say Uber's failing to consider that the more they drive, the more expenses they incur, like gas and car maintenance, and that there is a limit to how many hours one can work in a day.
This driver says he worked all weekend with virtually no breaks and still made less money than usual.
End of the day, I couldn't even make $200.
That's before expenses. And the New York Taxi Workers Alliance says this will extend far beyond Uber.
Why do you say this is a race to the bottom?
Well, once you have a large player in the industry lower its rates, then there's a desperation for everybody to start lowering their rates. So what happens to the drivers?
The Alliance is now urging drivers to keep their Uber app off at least until tomorrow. In Long Island City, Queens, Diane Macedo, CBS 2 News.
Uber declined to comment today, but told us earlier that if they see that the new pricing isn't working out, they could return to the old fares in a few months. Drivers at today's protest say that change will have to come much sooner if Uber expects them to stick around.
So what did you notice in that video that may have stood out? For the most part, it should sound like same shit, different video. You've seen in the video they're talking about cutting drivers' pay. You got the newscaster saying that Uber cut pay by 15%. You got a guy suggesting, how the hell am I supposed to live if my pay has been cut by 45% in the last 2 years? Anybody, regardless if you've been driving for 2 years, 5 years, 1 month, whatever the case, a lot of this should sound familiar. So what the hell is so different about this video in regards to why strikes do or do not work? Many people believe that a strike where drivers do not show up to work is what the hell we need to do to wake up companies like Uber and Lyft. So what's so special about this video? It's 6 fucking years old. That video you just watched, with all of those familiar bullet points, they're paying drivers less. They're treating drivers like shit. It's a race to the bottom, as that woman said. When you pay drivers less, you reduce the fares, it encourages everybody else that comes along to do the same damn thing. That video was 6 years old. That's what's different about it. Fact is, 6 years ago, they were striking and complaining about the same shit that you are driving and complaining about right now. So when the question is asked, do strikes work? That video should be a resounding hell no, they do not. The way we are striking as drivers is not gaining us shit. That video shows you that. The only thing that a veteran driver, which is what I asked before showing the video, if you were a veteran driver, you should have spotted, is the fact that when Uber and Lyft started out, particularly Uber, they were actually demanding that drivers have cars that were no less than 5 years old. Now, obviously, the only way they could do that, because they can't do it now at 70 and 80 cents per mile, the only way they were able to do that is they were originally paying drivers a good wage. I stated before, in my market, I was making $2.20 per mile, and now it's like 72 cents. But when it came out, $2.20 a mile is good money. That's actually worth having a decent car, giving decent service, providing water and candy and shit for your passengers. But that is what has happened to this industry, folks. From $2.20 a mile in my market to 72 cents. You see the driver there stating that in 2 years, his salary was cut by 45%. And you don't have to take the driver's word for it. You've seen what the news station was saying. In New York, they had cut wages 15%. And here is the most ridiculous thing about it that us veteran drivers have heard over and over again, is that every time they do some shit like this, their response is, this should actually be better for you than what it was before. They cut drivers' salaries by 15%, and they're telling drivers that shit should actually work to your benefit, which is why you hear drivers in the video like, what the hell? I can only drive so many fucking hours. If you cut my salary by 15%, I gotta drive more to make the same money. Now, when they did that to us in our market, and they've done it to everybody across the damn country, they told us if you cut the fares, more people will come to the platform, you'll have more trips overall and make more money. Which is why you see drivers in that video suggesting, well, shit, I can only drive so fucking much. So I just wanted to show that to you to answer the question anybody would want to know. In this business, the ride-sharing business, when you're rolling with Uber and Lyft, do strikes work? That shows you 6 years ago, they were striking and protesting the same damn shit we are today. Strikes do not work in this business. I would encourage you to only drive, as I do, only drive when there are bonuses, promotional guarantees, surges, and things that make it worth your while. You know what it takes, or you should know what it takes to be profitable driving your own vehicle, covering maintenance, fuel, and all of that shit. Figure out how much it takes to be profitable per mile, and don't drive for anything less than that. Subscribe to the channel. It's your boy Tim. I appreciate the fact that a lot of you guys have been showing participation in the comments. And certainly subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell. But I want to ask you folks out there, have you seen any strikes in your neck of the woods, in your market? Have you seen any drivers striking? Have you had passengers get in your vehicle and tell you it was difficult for them to get a ride on a time period during the day when you knew people were striking? Now, obviously on the West Coast, I think during the Thanksgiving weekend when everybody was striking, I asked this question before, and I don't think nobody's seen one damn bit of a difference at all. But let me know in your market, what do you think? You think strikes work? Are you still on the bandwagon after I just presented to your ass a 6-year video showing that they were protesting over the same shit? Nevertheless, just before we wrap it up, as the woman stated, when you reduce fares, you encourage everybody else to do the same shit to be competitive, which leads to an obvious problem. For other companies like Rides, other companies like Hum, that are going to get into the business and compete with Uber or Lyft and hopefully be the savior for us drivers that are in desperate need of something else, how long do you think it's going to work before they realize, shit, we ain't got to pay them what we paying them? If they're willing to work for Uber or willing to drive for Lyft for 60 cents a mile or some shit like that, why the hell are we giving them double, triple, quadruple the rates when we know they'll drive for less? I said it in every video. As long as you continue to drive for shit wages, that's exactly what they're going to pay you. It's your boy Tim. I'll catch you in the next video.